What's up, gang? Today we're taking a break from the Star Wars theme and we're jumping into Marvel with the recently released mech sets. And I know this line has been around for a while. I only recently got into it because this wave was delayed, so it garnered some extra attention on social media. And then eventually, as I saw them popping into stores, I decided to pick up one, and then I eventually decided to get the other two. So today we're not really doing a proper review, we're taking a quick overview and more so my thoughts on it and the few mods that I've done to these sets, as well as any potential future mods or future mechs that I might make. So up front here, the first one we have is Iron Man, and this one is by far my favorite of the three. I think it has the most to offer in terms of playability and ease of use, and you'll understand that ease of use point a little bit later when we move on to Wolverine. Any of you guys who have this set or are familiar with it, you can see immediately the mods that I've done. The main one that I think is going to jump out at people is going to be this gold shield piece. The set originally comes with this blue transparent kind of glittery shield piece. And while I do like this piece and it fits very well in his nanotech suit and more so that nanotech that we saw in Infinity War, but no other portions of the suit really resembled any nanotech or looked super futuristic to help blend that feature. So I went ahead and just swapped it out for a gold shield piece that I got from my Spider-Man drone duel set. And I think adding this on there was a huge improvement. I think this blends well and fits really well with the Iron Man mech as opposed to the nanotech shield. From the shield on his left hand, we move on to the right hand, and I have actually removed that stud shooter in favor for a much smaller cannon. Now I know a lot of people hate on stud shooters, and this isn't me hating on stud shooters. I actually really like the look of this specific stud shooter mold. However, I think with the way that the original set is built, the cannon is way too bulky for how small his arms and hands are. So I went ahead and removed that and changed out some of the plating on his hands a little bit, as well as the arms to make them a little bit beefier. And then I actually changed up the structure of the hands so now they match. Originally, his right hand has this sticker piece facing up on the back side of his hand rather than on the palm. But I went ahead and made both these tan sloping bricks the palm of his hand, and then underneath that I actually added some trans blue studs to represent some repulsors. So while Tony does have that cannon on the back of his hand, he still has his palm repulsors to defend himself with just as he would in his regular Iron Man suit. Moving on from the upper limbs, we're going to go ahead and flip it around to the back, and you can see I changed up this detail quite a bit. Now, I'll be honest, this area I don't quite remember on the original set. I just know I wanted to change it, and I wanted to add a few extra thrusters. So I went ahead and added two posable thrusters at the top here that can be positioned at different angles for different modes of flight. And then as well, one main thruster on the bottom to lift him off the ground and send him mainly forward in flight. Other than that, on the torso, I've only done one other mod. Now you can see I did little things like this to help fill out the empty space, but I don't really consider those large mods. They're just kind of little fixes that I do here or there. But the main thing I did on the torso was I changed the way that the minifigure is attached. I'm going to grab Wolverine prematurely to show you the standard connection of these mech sets. The minifigures just slot into this T-shaped piece right here. I'm not too sure what it's called, but it's a very loose connection, and it leaves a ton of space for the minifigure to just fly forward, and then they're sitting loose in their mech suit and they wobble around a whole lot. And that might not bother some people, but it did bother me, so I went ahead and changed up the Iron Man suit to resolve that. So we can go ahead and fold this open and get Iron Man out of there, and you can see he's now studded in at the bottom. So studding in that minifigure just makes it a whole lot easier. When I pick up my mechs to play, I don't have to reposition the minifigures inside, or I don't have to jostle them around. They're always in the position I want them to be in. But that pretty much covers it for Iron Man, and we were talking about him before, so we may as well just move on to him. Here we have Wolverine. And immediately, even if you've only seen a few promotional images for this build, you'll notice one huge thing. Very obviously, I went ahead and took off Wolverine's claws. Now, that's not because the claws are a bad feature. In no way are they a bad feature. It's a Wolverine mech. You're going to need claws if you're going to make it anything like Wolverine, or else it's just a mech. But look at how long these freaking things are. After building it within 10 minutes, I already knocked them off a few times. Now, I know I sound like I hate the feature. It's really not that big of a problem, but for me and how I was playing with it and how they were moving around my room, setting them down and just picking them up from place to place, I didn't like constantly having to adjust the blades or reattach them because they flicked off too easily. As I've said previously, I completely understand why they have claws on this mech. It's a Wolverine mech. But they just break off a little too easily for me, and you constantly have to adjust them so they're all pointing forward and not jamming into each other. Other than that, I don't think I've done any mods to Wolverine. You can see one mod, or hear one mod that I didn't do, was that minifigure mod. This guy is always jostling around and always making noise in here. So if you have one of these mech sets, I definitely recommend studying in your minifigures. So beyond taking out those claws, I don't really see a purpose to mod Wolverine. I think this mech is already great in its own right. It captures Wolverine well, even though I did take off the claws. Everything else on the set does what I want it to, and it looks how I want it to, so I didn't see any room for improvement or anything that I particularly wanted to change to fit my taste. Our last one to go over is Black Panther, and this one is my second favorite mech. And those of you who have this set will immediately notice I didn't do any mods to this, except for peeling off this little translucent bookcase piece. This normally sits on the front of the mech as a heads-up display or shield for your Black Panther minifigure when he's piloting. But to me, it just looks a little strange, and I think there was better ways to help bulk up this head section to better match Wolverine and Iron Man. Both Wolverine and Iron Man have bigger helmet pieces over their heads, and while the mechs still look disproportional with smaller heads, this does help make them look a little bit bigger and a little more proper. And I don't think this little computer screen really solves that issue for this Black Panther mech. His head just looks a little too small even with the screen on there. So I just decided to embrace the strangeness and cut out the middleman by removing the bookcase. It doesn't really look bad this way. His head does look a little small, but luckily enough there are some other portions of his body that are incredibly small that help balance it out. And those parts that we're talking about are actually his legs. The legs on this set are very thin, especially the feet being only 1 stud wide, while the other mechs that came out alongside him have 2 stud wide feet. And originally I thought that was going to be a huge complaint. I didn't think he was going to be able to stand up too well, but now I'm really happy with it. I think it all really fits together, and just like Wolverine, I don't really see a need to do any other mods to this set. I peeled off the little computer screen or shield, and now I don't think there's anything else I need to do. He has the color scheme, he has the claws that Black Panther has, he's got everything, so I don't see any more room for improvement on this one. Alrighty guys, well, that pretty much covers this small little mech line overview. I didn't expect this video to end up this long. We'll see how long it is after I edit it and it's on YouTube. But I'm a much bigger fan of these builds than I ever thought I would be. When these 3 mechs were initially revealed many months back, I honestly thought that they should just discontinue the mech line and put those resources into different Marvel sets and larger Marvel sets. But after having them and playing with them, I want this mech line to continue for the foreseeable future. And I know it's been going on for a while, so I'm not too sure how much longer it has, but I want to get my hands on more of these things. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys did, go ahead and drop a like down below and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you have any ideas for any custom mechs you want me to do, I've already got one cooking in the oven. I actually mentioned the set that it's going to be from in this video. So if you can figure that out, kudos to you. But for the rest of you guys, you're just going to have to wait on that one. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.